Hi. So, one day, a couple years ago, I asked my parents something really important. And let me tell you the story of how I did so. So, here's the background info. My older sister, my only sibling, she was applying to vet schools that year. So I knew she was going to move away and leave me. And I was telling my ASB advisor in community college about this. And he told me, he said, Kayla, you should move with your sister wherever she goes. And I said, Dan, my parents aren't going to let me do that. Like, they're going to have to support me. I can't afford to leave. And Dan, my advisor, he told me, you should ask them. It's worth a shot. I went home that day from after talking to him, and I actually thought about it. I considered it. And once I considered it, I decided I definitely needed to ask my parents because this would be good for me to get out of my hometown and to leave with my sister. Who better to leave with than her? So, that night, we went out for dinner. Just me and my parents, who I lived with at the time, who still live in my hometown. We walk into the restaurant, we get our food. Then I dropped the bomb. I said, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I have something to talk to you about. I have something to ask you, and it's kind of serious. My mom laughed at me, and she said, what is it, Kayla? And I told her, would you support me if I wanted to move with my sister wherever she went to vet school? My mom chuckled a little. She said, financially or emotionally, Kayla? And I told her both in a serious face. My dad just kind of observed. He didn't think I was serious. But my mom, she knew. She said probably, why do you need to move? And I explained to her that it would probably be good for me to get out of my hometown. We left dinner that night. We got home. They considered it over the next week or two. And my mom finally decided that, yeah, she would support me. She could send me off with my sister wherever we go. So at that time, I was applying for my FAFSA, and my sister had gotten into Kansas State at the time. So I sent my FAFSA to Kansas and also sent it to Davis because that was her number one choice, and she hadn't gotten in there yet officially. So I sent my FAFSA to Kansas and to the community colleges around Davis, and I hope for the best. I waited it out probably like a month or so, and while I was at lunch with a friend one day, I got a call. It was my sister. She was so excited. She had called into UC Davis, like her dream school. I was so ecstatic. I wasn't even thinking about where I was going to go. I was just so excited for her. And so that day it was decided we would move to Davis. And that's how I ended up at Sac State, actually. But how I ended up here is kind of another story. So I moved to Davis when I was 21. I just turned 21. But before that, I was interested in Sacramento State. When I was 18, I came and I toured the campus. And I fell in love immediately. I said, I can see myself here. This is where I want to go. And my mom didn't believe me because she didn't know I wanted to even move up here. She was just like, okay, like you can always apply to Fresno State, which is right by our hometown. But then all that happened with my sister going to vet school. And I ended up here, and I ended up going to Sac City for a year, and it was the best experience of my life. I got such good grades. It was awesome. And then I applied to Sac State in the, when was that? Like 2 years ago almost. And I didn't think I was going to get in anywhere. I thought my grades were too bad. they weren't that bad. I had like a 2.6. I was convinced I was not getting into Sac State, and I was going to have to figure it out from there. But one day at Sac City, I opened up my email, and I had an acceptance from Sac State. It was insane. And so I called my mom right away, and I said, I think I got into Sac State. I think this is what this email means. Should I accept it? What should I do? And my mom said, I mean, as long as that's your first choice. I said, I think it is. So then I called my sister, because that was, I honestly thought I was only going to live with her for a year, because I was convinced I wasn't getting into Sac State. But I got in, I called my sister, and she was like, you should accept right now. And I was so stoked. The next day at Sac City, I wore my Sac State shirt, and I accepted my admittance to Sac State. And here I am. The end.